Spotify, the music giant that changed the way the world listens, is facing a wave of legal battles that could reshape its future. From accusations of underpaying artists to massive settlement deals that shook the industry, this is the story of how a billion-dollar company is scrambling to fix the cracks beneath its surface. Deals have been struck, but are they enough to satisfy frustrated songwriters and producers? Or is this just the beginning of a much bigger storm for Spotify? Spotify, the undisputed leader in music streaming, now finds itself at the center of a legal storm that could potentially cost it millions. A lawsuit was filed against the platform in a New York federal court in May 2024, accusing the streaming giant of drastically underpaying royalties to songwriters, composers, and publishers. The case has attracted widespread attention because of its implications not just for Spotify, but for the entire music streaming industry. The plaintiffs in the case, led by the Mechanical Licensing Collective, MLC, allege that Spotify's decision to reclassify its services and alter how royalties are calculated is deeply flawed and unlawful. The lawsuit revolves around a significant change that Spotify made to its premium subscription services in March 2024. Previously, Spotify's premium individual, duo, and family plans solely provided access to music and podcasts. However, the company recently added audiobook access to these subscription plans and reclassified them as bundled subscription offerings. According to the MLC, this reclassification has resulted in a dramatic reduction, almost 50%, in the royalties paid out to songwriters, despite there being no meaningful change in the core service Spotify provides. The lawsuit argues that Spotify failed to notify the MLC in advance of these changes, which the plaintiffs contend is a breach of statutory obligations. The MLC is a nonprofit organization responsible for collecting and distributing royalties from digital music streaming platforms. Created by the U.S. Copyright Office as part of the 2018 Music Modernization Act, the MLC ensures that songwriters and publishers receive fair compensation from streaming services like Spotify. The organization was appointed to simplify the complex process of licensing and distributing mechanical royalties, which are owed when a song is reproduced in a digital format. The crux of the lawsuit is that Spotify, by reclassifying its subscription offerings as bundled with audiobooks, has manipulated its revenue reporting to lower the amount of royalties it owes. Premium subscriptions now include audiobooks, but the MLC argues that subscribers had access to audiobooks even before this bundling occurred. As a result, nothing substantial has changed for subscribers, yet the royalties being paid to songwriters have been slashed almost in half. The MLC claims this is a clear violation of Spotify's obligations under U.S. copyright law. For Spotify, this lawsuit couldn't come at a worse time. The company has been boasting about record-breaking royalty payments. In 2023 alone, it claimed to have paid $9 billion to rights holders, including songwriters, publishers, and recording artists. The company has stressed that it is on track to pay out even more royalties in 2024. Spotify has always prided itself on supporting independent artists, with nearly half of the $9 billion paid in 2023 going directly to them. But while Spotify has positioned itself as a champion for musicians, this lawsuit suggests otherwise. Spotify's defense centers on its assertion that the lawsuit concerns terms that were agreed upon years ago. The company has maintained that its royalty calculations are based on long-standing agreements with publishers and songwriters, and it has expressed confidence in a swift resolution to the lawsuit. Spotify has also emphasized that the addition of audiobooks to its premium plans is a part of its broader strategy to diversify its offerings. Audiobooks are a growing industry, and the platform wants to capitalize on this trend, positioning itself as more than just a music and podcast service. However, the MLC is challenging the notion that the inclusion of audiobooks justifies a reduction in the royalties owed to music creators. The financial consequences of this underreporting could be enormous. The MLC estimates that if left unchecked, Spotify's actions could cost songwriters and publishers hundreds of millions of dollars. The lawsuit highlights the frustration many songwriters feel about streaming royalties, which are already notoriously low. Platforms like Spotify have long been criticized for their opaque royalty structures, with many artists arguing that they receive a meager share of the revenue generated by their work. Royalties are an essential source of income for songwriters and composers, especially in the digital age, where physical album sales have plummeted, and streaming has become the dominant way people consume music. The structure of streaming royalties is complex, with different types of royalties being paid to different parties. One crucial type is the mechanical royalty, which compensates songwriters for the reproduction of their work in digital form. This is where the MLC comes in. It ensures that streaming services pay mechanical royalties to songwriters and publishers. Spotify, like other streaming services, operates under a compulsory license system in the US. This means that it can legally stream any music as long as it pays the required royalties. However, disputes like this one arise over how much the streaming services should be paying. The MLC's lawsuit alleges that Spotify's attempt to reduce its mechanical royalties by reclassifying its subscription plans constitutes a breach of its obligations under the compulsory license system. The complaint calls for monetary damages to compensate for the unpaid royalties and late fees. This lawsuit could set an important legal precedent. If the MLC prevails, it may force streaming platforms to rethink how they structure their services and calculate royalties. Other platforms like Apple Music and Amazon Music will undoubtedly be watching this case closely, as a ruling in favor of the MLC could lead to similar claims being made against them. Streaming services have been expanding their offerings to include podcasts, videos, and now audiobooks, and this diversification could complicate the way royalties are calculated and distributed. The lawsuit also raises broader questions about the relationship between streaming platforms and content creators. Over the past decade, streaming has revolutionized the music industry, making it easier for independent artists to reach global audiences. However, this democratization of distribution has come with trade-offs, particularly when it comes to how artists and songwriters are compensated. While streaming has created new revenue streams for artists, many feel that the platforms are not paying them fairly for their work. The ongoing debate over streaming royalties has led some artists to withhold their music from platforms altogether. For example, Taylor Swift famously removed her catalog from Spotify for a time, arguing that the service devalued her work by offering it for free to users on its ad-supported tier. Spotify's decision to bundle audiobooks with its music service is part of its strategy to remain competitive in an increasingly crowded marketplace. The streaming giant faces competition not only from other music services, but also from tech giants like Amazon and Apple, which offer bundled services across music, video, and books. Spotify's move into audiobooks is a logical step, especially as the audiobook market continues to grow. However, the MLC's lawsuit suggests that this expansion may come at a cost to songwriters who feel that their contributions are being undervalued in the process. As this legal battle unfolds, it will be fascinating to see how it affects the broader music industry. The lawsuit may force streaming platforms to adopt greater transparency in their royalty structures and provide clearer explanations for how they calculate payments to artists and songwriters. It could also prompt policymakers to revisit the laws governing digital music licensing as the landscape of the music industry continues to evolve. For now, the lawsuit serves as a reminder of the ongoing tension between content creators and the platforms that distribute their work. As streaming services continue to expand into new areas like audiobooks and podcasts, the debate over how to fairly compensate the people behind the music is far from over. What do you think these settlements mean for the music industry? Will Spotify's changes be enough to keep artists and songwriters happy? Or could we see even bigger battles ahead? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated on more stories like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.